Hey everybody, I hope you are well. I feel like I haven't done this in a long time. It is certainly nice to be back home after a few brutal weeks at the end of session. But quickly, for those of you who are paying close attention, yes, my face is a little banged and beat up. I have a stitch over my left eyebrow. I fell running while still sort of rehabbing my knee post-surgery. At the end of last week on Friday, and I managed to fracture both my collarbone and my pelvis, which is why I have this beautiful sling on, and which is why I'm going to be kind of immobilized for a little while, as I am told that in order to make sure I can avoid surgery, that I will be off my feet for a little while, which is a little frustrating as I'm just finally back home to the beautiful Northwest corner and trying to find ways to get out, and unfortunately having to cancel a lot of events. So I have many thanks to share for people who quickly, for the driver who stopped at the side of the road when I fell and stayed with me till my husband came, to everybody at the Sharon ER who took such great care of me, and as we laughed over as we bonded over watching The Pit, which they're also fans of in the Sharon ER. My family and everybody, a lot of people, as the word have gotten out, people who have reached out and expressed wishes for a healthy recovery, which I'm sure will come eventually. I had hoped at the end of last week to share some things sort of as session ends, kind of that last crazy day of session, which of course goes till midnight. There's a swirl of activity as we try to resolve conflicts and we try to move things, and it gets a little bit, things that didn't pass in one bill get stuck in another bill. So there's some sorting out to do to make sure that things ended up where I think they did. But I wanted to note a couple of things of last week. I focused on the budget big picture, but things of more local importance. For example, in our bond bill this year, we increased Town Aid Road by 30%, which is a big deal for taking care of our roads, local roads around here. We were able to, after there was a little hitch on the floor of the house when we tried to do some land conveyances for North Canaan about the language in there, but we were able to resolve that and finally convey a couple of state properties to North Canaan for public use. I think we've created some hope to create a public transfer facility for solid waste in the northwest corner, although that remains complicated, but we did move the needle quite a bit. And funding for a few local organizations, which I'll detail in coming weeks. But as it also, so a lot of things happen in that last day, but sometimes a lot of things don't happen. And so there are some articles about bills that, made it and bills that didn't make it. And I just wanted to note one sort of less than happy note about an education bill. We had an excellent education. Sometimes, bills just don't make it over the line because we just can't do the math. There aren't enough votes to pass them. And that's what this is all about. People get to voice each and every one of us get to voice our opinions. And so if they can't pass, we try not to waste our time trying to debate them and put them on the floor. But sometimes it feels a little bit more petty. And so this really great education bill that passed in the House, HB 709, with overwhelming bipartisan support. It was worked on by a lot of people. Bipartisan work went into that bill, and it was strongly supported in the House, passed the House. The Senate refused to take it up for a vote because a couple people decided they were going to filibuster it. And we then responded I worked with the education chair and a couple others to craft a lighter bill that was whittled down, maybe a little easier to swallow, and which importantly included some really important language that Region 20 needs to solve some of their fiscal issues. And even that wasn't enough to get it a vote. We had some members of the House Minority Caucus that went upstairs to the Senate to try to get the logjam removed, and nothing worked. And I have to say it felt not policy driven, but sort of petty, and that's unsatisfying. But we will find another way to get that across the finish line, maybe even in special session. So stay tuned. I wanted to note that because of a lot of local events that I can't go to, I have been watching the news and have decided that in the wake of national events, I am going to try my very best. I may be in a wheelchair because the combination of hurting your shoulder and your pelvis means that you can't really use crutches. So it may be a wheelchair that I get around in this weekend, but I'm going to try to get to some of the events, a continuation of events, protests against you name it, against attacks on education, both public and private, healthcare, judiciary, law firms, immigrants, free speech. I think it's really important to stand up and be counted. And I want to note that last time I comment on, there were some protests a few weeks ago, and I had some emails from people that really made the point that these were bipartisan. There are a lot of people out there who aren't, partisan, aren't hardcore Democrats who showed up because they're worried about their health care, or they're worried about their family members, or who are in the military, or who, you name it. And so I am going to try to show up at that. And so I'm going to grab my American flag with my good hand and hope to see you out at one of them in the region. I'll put some information in the newsletter about where they're being held. And unfortunately, one of the things that I can't attend this week are some of the graduations. So I want to extend a special congratulations to all the high school graduates at Chippewa Valley, Housatonic Valley, Northwestern, and Lakeview, who are graduating in the next few days. Hope you get great weather and memorable and great events and time spent with your teachers and the community and all your friends who support you, and wish good things for you in the future. So hope you get to attend one of those graduations. They're always fun. So take care. I'll talk to you soon.